All right. Hello and welcome to our Healthy Moms event. My name is Brittany Ame. I live in Southern California. I'm a wife and mom of two little ones, and I will be one of your hosts for this evening. We appreciate you taking time to be with us tonight, and we hope that you leave this call feeling motivated, inspired, and really connected to a strong community of moms who cares about their health and the health of their families. Listen, none of us are perfect, and I'm sure that you're going to hear a little bit of that as you listen to our panelists speak. But when we come together with a common goal of raising healthy families, we can really generate a family-like community here with really helpful tools and guidance for one another. So we hope that you guys feel that tonight. With that being said, I'm going to turn this over to my co-host, Andreza Owens. Take it away.
Hi, everyone. My name is Andreza, like Brittany said, and I just want to echo what she said already, that we appreciate that you are joining us tonight and hope that you are inspired by what these panelists have to share. We are so grateful for them for joining us. I'm a wife and mom to two, a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old. I am currently in East Texas. I am passionate about health and wellness, promoting practical tools that help parents, families make healthy choices for their families. And I do love road tripping with my family. So a little bit about our panelists. So Courtney is from Lincoln, California. She's a mom of two and wife to a busy pastor. She left the corporate world 6 years ago after the birth of her first daughter to be a full-time mom and to grow her business. She runs her health and wellness business, is a rancher, and helps with her family farm business. Next, we have Alona. She is a wife and mom to two boys. They are 4 and 5. They reside in Brookings, Oregon. And she is originally from Russia. She loves fitness, health, and impacting others. She turned to network marketing to have more time with her family, bring in income, and challenge herself. Michelle is a wife and mother of two. One is a preteen and the other is a full-on teenager. Both children are athletes that keep her schedule full. She worked in the IT field for over 10 years, and now she's a health coach and works full-time / part-time in her own health and wellness business. Thank you, ladies, for joining us tonight. So let's go ahead and get into the first question. Let's take it back just a little bit. Let's talk about a little bit about nutrition, what nutrition looked like in your household growing up. Give us examples of the types of food your family ate growing up. So we'll start with you, Courtney.
Hi, yeah, so in my home growing up, we actually were considered pretty health conscious, I think. My mom was a dentist. My dad was formerly a professional athlete. So there was definitely like an understanding of food as fuel, food as medicine. My mom definitely, I mean, we weren't like the healthiest. I mean, we definitely ate fast food from time to time in between all the sports practices and games and all that sort of thing. But my mom was very adamant, no junk food in the house, no sodas. You know, when I was a kid, my friends thought it was weird at, I don't know, middle school age that I had never eaten a Twinkie, like, you know, that sort of thing. I would say that in our home, there was a focus on fruits and vegetables. There was a focus on well-balanced meals at dinner time. Breakfast was kind of on the go. I ate school lunches, which if any of you know anything about what's provided in school lunches, like that's not the greatest, but dinner was always like a well-balanced meal. And so, you know, it was like, you got to eat all your broccoli, even if you don't like it, that sort of thing. So I think for me growing up, I had a pretty solid foundation. And then as I moved into like college, I had that same understanding as an athlete because I was a D1 athlete in college as well. I just knew that how we fuel ourselves really relates to our performance. But it was just really, really hard, like living off of dining hall food and living on a slim budget as a broke college student. It was definitely hard to get in the fruits and vegetables that I know my body needed. And definitely that became pretty evident as I started to get more sick and injured as my athletic career went on, that I just wasn't able to get in enough. So hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. How about you, Alona?
I'm Russian, so we are more like a starchy type of people, and a little bit of a like more soup. So like potatoes, bread, that is basically like number one in our diet. I mostly grew up with my grandma, so she always cooked. There was always her making the meals and her doing her things. She's always baking. She's always making the bread for everybody. And like I tried to make a post earlier, I was trying to make pierogi, and they're also dough with like stuffing inside. So I'm not going to say it's going to be like the best or the healthiest nutrition there is, just because it's a lot of starch and it's more food for. She grew up in Russia, obviously, and so she knows more of like what foods keep you warm, because out there it's getting cold and stuff. So out here it wasn't like the best idea for that. And then after it progressed, or after I got older and getting my own diet in and stuff like that, I was more of like afraid of food. So I'm not going to say that I had like the best nutrition out there. I kind of did, but I also had an eating disorder, so I didn't want to have anything to do with food. It started when I was like, I don't know, 12 years old. So from there on, you could just know how much damage I'm putting into my nutrition, my diet. And so I kind of steered away from food. But then whenever I would have like the actual urge to eat, I would eat anything. It was like burgers, pizza, or noodles, which are like pasta or whatever you want to call them. My kids call them noodles. But yeah, so growing up, I had kind of like an idea. I love cooking. I do love cooking. So today we are always cooking, and we are always just striving to just be at home and have dinners with our family and stuff like that. Oh yeah. And that was another thing. My dad, he would always make me finish my plate. And even if I sat down by myself, I always had to sit down by myself, finish the plate, which probably took like an hour or two, which I think that could possibly lead to where I had like the eating disorders and stuff like that. So, but today we're a lot better. Trust me.
Thanks for sharing, Alona. How about you, Michelle?
So for me, I have a combination of like Alona and Courtney, right? Well, I grew up in England. I didn't mention that in my bio, but I actually grew up in England until the age of 10, but my parents are Caribbean. So it's such a weird combination. You're eating Caribbean food, which does consist of like a lot of starches, but you're also eating like more foods from like the earth. So, they're used to eating from nature mostly. So you may have the meat more like on the side, and then you'll have the starches and the vegetables. But no, I was raised like eating your fruits and vegetables, especially my vegetables. And I used to be forced to sit at the table and finish mine too. And the way my parents prepared them back then were so gross. Oh my gosh, I would be sitting at the table for like hours. So, yeah, I had some issues with certain vegetables and how they tasted. But for the most part, my parents cooked almost, I think, pretty much every single day. So there was always a prepared meal at dinner. So we had a really well-balanced dinner. But the rest of the day, it was kind of like up in the air, toast for breakfast, maybe egg, or like a cereal. But back then, cereals weren't sweetened. So it was like shredded wheat was the cereal. So it was still like slightly better choices than what we have today and what kids, what their options are. So I would say I'm kind of a mixture between Alona and Courtney, but with a Caribbean twist.
I love it, the Caribbean twist. So it's interesting hearing all of you guys talk about your childhood, and everybody, as you're listening, you maybe are hearing a little bit of what, how that might have morphed for them. So that leads us to the next question here, Courtney. What was your idea of healthy in your 20s, and how has that changed for you now? What does healthy look like for you now?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think that as a kid, it was so ingrained in me, no junk food, no sodas. My mom always was like, hey, I know that your friends are eating Lucky Charms for breakfast, but we're not buying that stuff. And so I think I always thought that I was really healthy, and just because of that, and also because I was an athlete all my life. And I think sometimes when we're athletes, we sort of like trick ourselves into believing that just because we're physically fit, like we're healthy, but I wasn't necessarily nutritionally fit. And so even though I definitely understood that connection between, you know, how we fuel ourselves and our performance and our health, our overall health, I still didn't really truly know until I got involved with this group that we're here, the Healthy Living Revolution group. I really didn't know what healthy was. And Michelle mentioned that she lived in England. My mom is from England. So that whole side of our family, like when we all get together, it's like scones and clotted cream and tea sandwiches and tea biscuits and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And so it was when I really got involved with this community that I started to realize what changes I could potentially consider making. And some of them were hard at first to try out. Just mainly the importance of getting as many fruits and vegetables as possible. That was always a no-brainer. But then in this community, we kind of even took it a step further and learned about how other foods really affect us, and really learning to pay attention to how we feel 10 minutes after we eat, and an hour after we eat, and the next day. And starting to learn how those foods affect us, and maybe the things that are causing some inflammation, or maybe that are making our energy really low. And so health for me now and for my family now is really quite different from what it was as a youth, and then also in my 20s.
Awesome. Alona, how about you? What was healthy like in your 20s, and how has that changed for you now?
Healthy in my 20s was more of like a struggle in trying to find health, like what is healthy, because after I think I was like 18, 19 years old, that's when I was starting to actually figure out how I can break my cycle and be more healthy in all sorts of ways. So I struggled that a lot because I was vegetarian for a little bit. I was vegetarian for like 7 years. And that was kind of crucial into my healthy diet, because I was taking too many vitamins to support where I was lacking into my diet. And so my kidneys actually had a huge infection, and I gained 15 pounds in 1 week of just water weight. So you can just imagine that you can't like do this with your hands. You were swollen in the face. People are like, what happened to you? Because just last week you looked great. So I cut all the vitamins out, all the supplements. I started then to get like into like fish food and like pescatarian kind of deal. And then I went into eating meat again. With being healthy and what it means to be in my 20s was more of kind of like blind for me, just because I didn't know exactly what I was doing. I was so into like my head and all this problem that I'm having. But as of today, and what healthy means is just like really focus on what you're putting into your body. If it's negative towards you, don't eat it. If it's going to be like a problem for you, like don't eat it. But if it's something that's going to be beneficial, absolutely. Even if, like me, I don't care for food, or I didn't, I would literally just like say no to eating with family. Whenever somebody invited you for dinner, you're like, nah, thanks, I'll pass. So now it's more of like, even if it is healthy and it's going to be good for your body, you have to eat it. You know what I mean? You should, just because I had to go through a whole cleanse, even if I was gaining weight, even if I was losing weight. And like same with Courtney, being an athlete was like totally what I thought was healthy. So that actually was like not working with me, if you know what I mean. So, but healthy now is my kids, it's like, don't worry about you, mom. It's about your kids now. And like, don't do whatever happened to you to your kids, because they don't deserve it. And you shouldn't even tell them about what happened with you, type of deal. So that's my healthy. It's more like in the healthy mindset. Keep your brain healthy, keep your heart healthy, keep your positivity healthy. So.
Yeah. I love it. Michelle, how about you? health in your 20s versus now?
I will say that health in my 20s was all about fitness. I thought that was like the answer. And so I worked out. I played soccer in high school, and then I worked out a lot in college. It was my stress relief. And I thought that was how I was staying healthy. I didn't really know much about nutrition, even though I heard, you should eat your fruits and vegetables, but I had no idea the impact that would have until like later in my early 30s. So my 20s was just like fitness was the focus. That was about it. Making sure I maybe had like 3 or 4 fruits and veggies for the day. And I thought I was doing great. And I learned since then, not even coming close. And just how there's so many other factors, right? There's the nutrition, there's fitness, there's the water, there's even the mental health, like managing that stress, so important. So yeah, definitely gone through an evolution in these past how many years since my 20s. I'm far from my 20s now, but it's just funny to look back and see where I was.
Yeah, that's so good. So as moms, we are constantly on the go. And we all know if we want a healthy family, it starts with us as moms. We set the tone. How do you make time for you and your health? We'll start with you, Courtney.
Yeah, so this has fluctuated over the years as we go through different stages and phases as moms. So I have a 6.5-year-old daughter, and then I have an 8-month-old. So I'm just kind of coming out of the newborn mom phase where like you're just kind of in survival mode. And we have birthed 2 kiddos who hate sleep. So it's been rough. I've been very sleep deprived, but one thing I do know for sure is I was like, I cannot get sick. She relies on me way too much. As sleep deprived as I am, I have to take care of myself in every other way. So, and when you're breastfeeding and you know that what they're getting is whatever you're putting in your body, and, you have to think about things like mastitis and all that stuff, right? There's just so much to that portion of the journey and healing. And so for me, that just looks like as hard as it can be sometimes, making sure that I have a lot of plant matter going into my body, because we know that that is nature's best medicine. And so the way that for me that I do that is what we're going to be talking about a little bit more as we move along, is our whole food concentrates, our whole food complete powder, which is just like a bunch of plants that's absolutely delicious. I can shake that up with one hand while I'm nursing the baby in the other arm, just making sure that there's a lot of plants going into our family. And in whatever way that has to be, whether that's home cooked or that's running out to one of our healthier restaurants nearby, or I even started a Daily Harvest subscription. I don't know if you guys know of Daily Harvest, but it's just like all plant-based meals, because I was like, I'm not cooking nearly as much as I used to, but I know I need this goodness fueling my body. And then also just taking time to get outside in the sunshine, breathe the fresh air. We live out in the country, so that's really easy for us to just step out and can walk all over our ranch. Getting exercise, even if that's only like 10 minutes at a time, and I'm just doing like some body weight stuff in the living room while the baby's crawling around. Like whatever it is, you got to get movement, you've got to get outside, and you've got to get lots of plants in. So we have lots of tools and resources that we can share of ways that you can do that really simply, recipe books and that sort of thing that you can just ask whoever invited you. But then we also have our whole food concentrates, which we can share about with you further.
Thanks for sharing, Courtney. How about you, Alona?
I can unmute myself. So how do you make time for you? I wake up like 4:30 in the morning, go to the gym. It's just something that I have to do in order to either clear my mind or just make sure that I'm going to be ready for the day. And then besides that, I kind of don't even have time, because then I have a 5-year-old and a 4-year-old. They're going to be 5 and 6 this year. And we live in an RV. And then I homeschool as well. So it's kind of hard to find like that time for me. So that's why I like waking up first thing in the morning, because then I can get it out of my system, and then I can get my husband ready to go for work. And then by the time my kids wake up and my husband's gone, breakfast is ready, and then everything just kind of goes smooth sailing. Um, Cooking, I like cooking. So if that would be kind of like the time for me, I would love it. I mean, sometimes my kids get engaged in it and they like to be a part of me cooking. So that's kind of fun. You know, it's kind of like a crafty thing, because I used to do crafts and I can't even do crafts anymore. So that's nice. And then I don't know, sometimes if we're pretty much outside 90% of the day. So we'll go exercise with the kids. We'll take them out to the park or the ocean. It's like right here. So it's very nice that we get to have this opportunity to live in the RV, just because my kids get that good childhood of being outdoorsy. You know, don't be inside and be on the computer stuff or iPads, whatever you want to call them. So yeah, not much time. Even like when the kids go to bed, they literally go to bed at like 9 or 10 o'clock. And then me and my husband have, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes to each other before he passes out. So yeah, I don't really have the time.
So early in the morning is your time. Early.
It's my time, yeah. And if I don't do it, my husband knows, because then I'm all grouchy. Stuff. It's bad, but it's good at the same time.
Okay. What about you, Michelle? How do you make time for you and your health?
Well, I'm the same as Alana, but I'm Alona. I'm not waking up at 4 though. I do get up before my kids. My kids are now in middle school, so their school starts at 9:30. So I have the luxury of waking up at like 6:45, hitting the gym for like a good hour, and then coming back and being there in time for like to make sure they're ready to go and dropping them off. So that's been the perk of this year, and it's only going to last a year because one's going off to high school. So I have always made my fitness a non-negotiable, like at least 3 to 5 times a week, I am getting it in. And then on the weekends, my kids play different sports. So while I'm at the park, I usually may go for a walk, or, I get that in while I'm there. So I'm making sure I take that time for myself, because honestly, I'm a better person when I work out. Just like Alona, I am. It just like relieves a lot of this built up or whatever pent up stress and all of that. So that is something I have maintained. And I am now in my 40s. So I started that from when they were babies. I would work out at home when they were little, and it's just always been a part of what I do.
I love it. In your 40s, Michelle, looking amazing, setting the tone for everybody. Okay, Courtney, can you talk to us a little bit about Juice Plus and how you're introduced to this concept of plant powders? I know we've all been talking about, like, we want to get more plants in our body. We want to get more plants in our body. And now we've talked about, clearly we can see here that we're all very busy. So can you talk to us a little bit about what Juice Plus is and how you were introduced to it?
Yeah, so I was introduced in college by my best friend, teammate, roommate. As I mentioned before, I played basketball in college, and my roommate, Jake, her mom has been with the Juice Plus company since she was 7 years old. So she had been consuming these whole food concentrates pretty much her whole life. And it was right after like the worst season of my life in terms of injury and illness. And I just felt plagued the whole season. And she was the only girl on our team of 15 who had not missed a single game or even a practice due to illness or injury. And as a friend who cared about me, she said, I think these, and she put Juice Plus in front of me. She said, I think these are why I've been that person. And she was like, I think that these can help you. It made sense to me right away because it's just fruits and vegetables in capsules. And to me, with the background that I shared about, I knew that the more fruits and vegetables we can get in our body, the better. I knew that as like a very baseline foundation. So I was intrigued. But as I mentioned, a mom who is a dentist, a dad who is a former professional athlete, they had both been introduced to just about every product under the sun. And our family tended to be pretty skeptical. So I was like, fruits and vegetables sounds great, but what's the catch? And is this really what, like, it sounds too good to be true. So she introduced me to the research. I found out that it's actually the most researched nutritional product in the world. And you can read all of that research that's been done, gold standard research. And I did check it out. I was actually at the time in college studying how do you appropriately research things. And I was in a class that was teaching us all about that. So I took that and I went and looked at the studies and I was like, oh my gosh, this is legit. So right away, I felt that responsibility of like, I need this. Everybody I love needs this. How do I get it to them? And that's kind of how my journey started with the product and jumping into partnering with the company, which has just been such a game changer, best decision. I just love that it makes it so easy because as moms, or just as people in general, especially in the US, right? Like we have a nonstop go, go, go mentality in our culture. And I think that as women, as moms, we tend to put everybody else before ourselves. And I truly do not know how I would keep up with the momming that I do without this nutritional support, because I would be exhausted. I would be flatlined. So it's, for me, I could never go a day without these products. And it's, what's great too, is that for families, for every adult who signs up to be consuming our Juice Plus capsules, you can sign up your kiddos to be on it for free, which is a really cool commitment that our company has to families too. So as a mom, I love that fact as well. Did that answer the question?
Absolutely. That was beautiful, Courtney. Thank you. Alona, talk to us about like, why did Juice Plus make sense for you and your family?
Well, since we've been living at the RV, we kind of had like our plan to not work. Obviously, we wanted just to be out here, be with the family. My husband worked at the oil field for quite some time, and that's 2 weeks on, 1 week off, and the kids were very little at this time. So now that we got here and then we started to lose income, I wanted to find something. I wanted to be the person to help my kids, my husband, ourselves, because we're losing money here. And I actually started searching for something that I can do at home. One thing that got me to it was the tower garden aspect, is because I used to garden I'm from technically Colorado, and you guys have the gardening aspect. And I was like, I could do that. Because we can't do it here right now. We're living at somebody's house getting hooked up while we're building on our property. And even if I wanted to go garden at the property, I can't really do that because we're still falling trees, and it just made sense, right? So the gardening aspect, I was like, haha, yeah, to totally do this. And then Brittany, she got me into the Juice Plus, the actual capsule side effect side of it. And I was kind of like, okay, these probably are just like some vitamins that you probably take. And I was kind of like, okay, well, we can try it out and so forth. And so as much as I kept reading it, I was like, are you kidding me? This is just going to be that easy. And I can be at home with my kids doing this with them, so it's not just me. Like Courtney said, you can get kids for free on this. And it works, because I've seen it before or with my kids. And so if I can stay home and I can do this when I want to, and this is actually really benefiting our life, why not? This is all around. It's like the passion that I've been searching for, because I used to be a pilot. I used to house clean. I used to try to be like, what's my passion? What's my passion? What's my passion? And ever since I found, I guess, Juice Plus, I was like, this is the calling. This is it. This is it. And you can be doing it at home. You can be taking it in at home with your family. And so awesome. That just makes sense.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. Tapping a little bit into the business side of this. Yeah. Which is great for moms too. Michelle, talk to us about why plant powders, why does this make sense for you and your family?
Well, for me, I had been going to a holistic pediatrician for my kids when they were from when they were born. And funny enough, he had Juice Plus, like posted up in every room, but he never had a chance to tell me what it was. So it wasn't until like 3 years later, my daughter was 3, my son was 1, and I was leaving the gym and I bumped into another mom. We were just talking about, we went to the same university, and she mentioned, but I have 2 master's degrees, but now my life is Juice Plus. And I was like, what is that stuff? I had seen it at numerous doctors' offices during those 3 years. And right before I had seen her, I think I had doctor's appointment. So I had seen the packaging again, and I assumed it was a drink. So I just totally blew it off. But it was that day, it really opened my eyes, because my 1-year-old at the time was constantly sick, super picky eater, would not eat vegetables. And I was just like at my wit's end, like, what am I going to do? Like, I don't understand. I'm just cutting up things as small as possible into his food, and he somehow knows to pick it out, right? So I'm thinking, I don't know how I'm going to get this in his body, but I'm pretty sure that's why he's always sick. And when she shared Juice Plus, and it was like these gummies, and we were eating them and they were so delicious, I was like, wait a minute, this is just, I really thought it was too good to be true. I was like, yeah, there's no way. And so I started like doing my own research. And the more I learned about Juice Plus, I was like, you got to be kidding me. At first I only thought my son needed it, but then I was like, I need it. Like, my entire family needs it. And so that's kind of where that started. It was that other mom being bold enough to share it with me. And I'm so thankful like that she did that, because it's totally changed our health, my son's health. Like, he's like a night and day from where he started to where he is now. And I'm just super thankful for this nutrition. And it's funny because it's also my other thing that is a non-negotiable. I take my Juice Plus every day, and it's become such a routine because it's been 11 years. I don't even think about it anymore. It's just like, oh, it's part of my day, So that's definitely part 2. The question before is, along with my fitness, it's my Juice Plus. And when I don't take that, I may be grouchy too. For sure. Seriously.
So some of you guys have already touched on this a little bit. How has you deciding to step up your health affected your family? What are some of the benefits that you've seen? And I'm sure there are a lot of them, so I'm curious. Let's start with you, Courtney.
Yeah, so for me, it's been 13 years that we have been consuming Juice Plus as a family. Like I said, since college, my husband as well, because he was my boyfriend when we were in college. So I've been shoving this down his throat for that long as well. It's been really great. It's been a journey for him because he was not raised in a health conscious home, and it's been a shift. And I know if he were here, he would tell you he's really thankful for Juice Plus in his life, because it drastically shifted his athletic career. He went on to play in the minors for baseball, and it was a big deal for him, especially with all the travel that they do. And then my entire family has been on Juice Plus pretty much for that long as well. And between all of us, we have this crazy long list of health benefits, from like really simple stuff like, oh, better bowel movements, like digestion is working, to like miraculous kinds of things on the other end of the spectrum that get us kind of emotional when we talk about them. But I would say for us, not only just adding in the Juice Plus products, but also learning more, like I said, from this community about other ways that we can make health changes. Juice Plus often ends up being a catalyst for people to make other changes in their life. And we have definitely seen that to be true, because when you start feeling a little bit better, you're and more energized, you're more willing to kind of take on other aspects of healthy living. And we've all really benefited, and our Shred lifestyle program has been a big part of that too. Everybody kind of shifting the way that they eat a little bit to be more like, okay, not just I'm not eating junk food, but actually I'm eating things that are really, really nourishing my body at every single meal, has been really key for our family as well. And definitely I will say, just for my daughters, my older daughter is 6.5, like I said, and she's never been to the doctor for anything other than well checkups. She's never had an over-the-counter medication or prescription medication. She's never missed school from being sick. you know, she's had a sniffly nose here or there, but nothing that like knocked her down. So that's been really cool. And then our baby, same thing. She's just, I mean, she's only 8 months, but we've not seen anything majorly for her, which has been really nice, because as parents, like, we ache when our babies are not well. And so it's just been a relief to know that they're getting really quality fuel as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. How about you, Alona?
Well, as for myself, I've seen like an appetite, which is good. By all means, it's good. I don't have any more migraines. That is one huge thing for me. I used to have like blind-eyed sided halfway puking because it's like so bad. I have to sit in like a hot bath with like a cold towel. So that's gone, you know, that's gone. And then I've seen a little bit of detox in the beginning. All right, great. I have like a low battery here. I've seen a little bit of detox in the beginning. And then for my husband, or him and I too, we're sleeping like a lot deeper. We're sleeping a lot deeper. He has been detoxing really bad. Like there's something dead in him. And I'm like, just keep taking it. Because at first he's like, I can't keep taking it. I'm actually farting and at work and it's not fun, you know? And I'm like, just keep doing it. And then so now he's actually kind of a little bit more regulated. And same thing with him. He says he doesn't have that many headaches. He says he has a lot more energy. He seems a little bit more cut. So I don't know if that like helped him kind of get the weird weight off. I don't know. My oldest, he's kind of, I can't really see the difference in him besides he's been like more calm, and then he's been wanting to eat more, if that makes sense. Like he's always been a good eater. I've never had a problem with him to eat, but he's actually wanting like the more physical things. And then my youngest one, now I couldn't even put a fork in his hands. Like he did not want to eat. He don't pick up the fork, nothing. And with him, I've seen him super appetite. Like he's like, oh, I'm starving, I'm ready to eat. He wants to miss the blessings before dinner and he just wants to dig in. And then he has, this is my favorite. We stopped giving him naps when my oldest turned 5. So he was like 3. And this is just because we got to Brookings and we're like doing this whole thing. And so he stopped with the schedule of napping. And now I cannot stop him at like 2:33. He has to nap. And he tells me, he's like, Mommy, I'm just tired. I just want to take a nap. I'm like, go. If you're tired, go. You know what I mean? So that's my best thing was my youngest child. He is eating a lot of food and he actually wants more fruits. He actually wants to eat. He has like 3 to 2 apples a day. You know, he wants to eat that kind of stuff. And then the napping, definitely.
That's awesome. How about you,
Yeah.
Michelle?
Wow. I love that. So in my immediate family, my son was the first one we really saw like the change happen super fast. In 2 months, he was no longer that runny nose, sickly looking kid. It had just all gone away. He wasn't as, we used to at night have to use the vaporizer because he would have difficulty breathing with all the mucus, and that went away. And then he started to crave fruits and vegetables, which was like not fruits, but vegetables, which he despised. He was just picking up broccoli florets and cabbage. And it's funny because I laugh. I did not start eating broccoli until my late 20s. And then I hated cabbage my whole life until I got pregnant the first time. So for him at like 1 year old to be picking all those things up, I was like, but it was just funny to watch. And I saw all that happen in front of my eyes, but someone else, not my immediate family, my father was the one that really, I'm so grateful for me sharing Juice Plus with my parents, because my dad, he was 79 when I first shared Juice Plus with him, and I'm his youngest. So yeah, he took it. And he was better at my mom at taking it religiously because he had so many other pills he had to take. He is a diabetic. And he was insulin dependent. He previously had prostate cancer, which he survived, but he was living with diabetes and some other issues. And we had him until the age of 90. He passed away in 2020, the end of 2020, but I truly attribute the fact that he was getting this concentrated nutrition and to his diet, along with like just how my mom was really taking really good care of him and what he was eating, for him to be with us for that long, because he was dealing with diabetes for that long and other health issues, but he would have highs and lows, but he was able to recover so many times and come back and be like back to himself. And I'm just like, wow, to live into the age of 90 nowadays is like not so common, right? And for him to do it, battling various diseases, I really felt like Juice Plus gave us those additional years. I do. That's my personal thought. People can say whatever they want, but I just felt like it gave him more of a fighting chance whenever he was having some lows to come back. So that I am like forever grateful for that time. And my entire family, all of us have experienced different things. My husband's postnasal drip, that if you live with someone with postnasal drip, so annoying, hacking, coughing, choking, that went away. I was like, thank you, Juice Plus. And it's funny, I know when he's not taking it, because all of a sudden he'll start hacking again. And I'm like, wait, are you taking? He's like, oh, I forgot to take it for a few days. And I'm like, yeah, please start taking it again. So just little things like that make such a difference for me. And I'm sure all the ladies on here, we're all into fitness, right? That was my number one thing I noticed. My stamina, my endurance, and my recovery, my recovery time was so much less from like crazy new workouts I would try, but my stamina and endurance went up. And I was like, I'm getting older, not younger. How is my stamina and endurance getting better? That's crazy. But that's the power of plant nutrition. Seriously, so good. So yeah, those are just some of the things. There's so many, like it's 11 years. I can keep going, but I know we got time, short on time.
That's amazing. I love that. I love hearing how it's affected people and just the tangible stories and the things that we've seen that we hold on to that fuel our passion for sharing with others. So thank you, panelists, for joining. Thank you so much for sharing your journeys with us and being vulnerable. I think we love this because you get to share a bit of your story and hope that it connects you to other people who maybe felt like, I was alone, but actually there are people who were where I am and I have hope. And so thank you for being here. I appreciate you taking the time to be here. And to those of you watching tonight, thank you so much for joining. We will have a recording of this. I want y'all to know so that in case somebody, you wanted to invite somebody and they didn't get to join, we will have a recording. I would encourage you to reach out to the person that invited you to tonight's call. Reach out to them if you have any questions about anything the panelists have shared. Being on this healthy living journey, like we've all said, somebody connected us to somebody. And so being on this journey, it's so important to be in community. And so we have Facebook groups that have a lot of resources, recipes, tips, on how to get more nutrition into your body. And so we would love to get you connected to any of those. Again, thanks so much for joining us tonight. I am going to end the recording now. If you want to stay and have any questions or comments or just want to hang out for a little bit, feel free to do so.